Hey guys, welcome back, it's Ripe again. In today's video, homeowner association put a lien on my property and tried to foreclose on my home for supporting the troops. I sued them and fought back. Here is what happened. Subscribe to Ripe on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. After years of serving in the army, I finally decided to move with my family to a better neighborhood and get the rest I needed in a more beautiful place. After months of searching and looking, we found a lovely place full of nature, beautiful houses and what seemed like good neighbors. We did not think too much and we got to the place, and after only a few days, my wife came up with a good idea. I was thinking of having the military support banner in the front yard. I think you deserve it and it would look really good. And I really liked the idea, so we just did it. I never thought this could annoy or offend anyone in any way. Not too many days have passed and we have received a fine from the homeowner association regarding the banner. The HOA specified that the sign was an eyesore and that we should take it down. I did not understand the logic behind it, but I thought it was very funny and I ran and read it to my wife. "It's truly funny, but we are not taking it down," I said to my wife. "And we are not paying the fine either," she replied. The next day, when I was out in the front yard admiring the banner and the front yard itself, a man passed by me on the street, the first neighbor I was going to talk to. "Hello, I also served in the army," he said, looking at the banner. "But we are not allowed to have these banners, just be aware of that," he added. "Oh, I know, I received a fine yesterday because of it," I replied, smiling. "I'm sorry, I suppose you came to take it down." "No way, it's my right to have it here if I want to. Freedom of speech was still a thing last time I checked," I replied, laughing. "I support that and I respect your courage, but as I said, be aware. If you're not paying the fine, they'll keep sending them. I just don't think it's worth it. I had taken down my banner after the first time." And as the neighbor said, the HOA kept sending fines, but we never paid them. During this time, we found out that there are multiple military families in the neighborhood, also angry about the situation and supporting us, which made me keep my guard up. Fines started coming almost daily, the HOA being more aggressive than we could have ever been with our support banner. I let them send as many as they wanted, but I really got angry when they filed a lien on us and tried to foreclose our property, and that was the moment I decided to sue them. I thought about it a little, was it worth suing them? But I decided it was, so I did it. Fortunately, we had the support of the other military families in the neighborhood. We paid together for all the legal fees, as this was something they also wanted to achieve. They encouraged and supported us with everything they could, and so we were able to keep going. "We are going to win, I'm sure of it," were the words my wife told me every day. And all I can say is that she was right. We won. It was a very happy moment for myself, my family, and also for all the other military families in the neighborhood. It was a win I never knew I needed, which made it far greater. To make the win as obvious as possible, we started placing military support banners in each of these families' front yards, and also, for the fun of it, we decided to also add some big US flags right beside the banners. The best news came a few days after. The HOA president resigned and the association got restructured, which I loved. I finally felt like the right thing was done. "I told you so," said my wife right after we got the good news. And Ripe Stars, I'm curious, what do you think about the HOA banning simple things such as support banners or even flags? I mean, if these people would put up Nazi Germany flags in their front yard, I would understand it, but in this case, I don't even know why the HOA has to complain about this. And the next one, by coincidence actually, is another military story, and it is titled "Don't Mess with the Military." A little bit of backstory first. Back in 2014, I was transferred from sunny San Diego to Camp Lejeune, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, in North Carolina. I had been in the Marines for over 4 years and had been sent to a unit that would finally give me the chance to deploy to Afghanistan. In case you don't know, before your unit deploys overseas, you have a mountain of classes and training to get done, which starts around 6 months or so prior to the date. I had become close friends with Joe, who my senior most corporal, I was the only sergeant in my platoon, and we hung out all the time outside of work. We would barbecue, go to the gym, have parties with the families, etc. Well, that fateful time comes and we get sent to the land of never-ending sand. About 4 months in, I start to get a funny feeling that something was not right due to the lack of being able to talk to my wife on the phone or Facebook Messenger. I do have a special skill that I honed from sneaking past my Vietnam veteran father, who was very set in that bedtime meant bedtime and not raid the fridge for snacks time. I am very quiet and you won't hear me coming unless I want you to. One day I came into our PEB, just a big container that housed around 8 people in it, and seen my wife's face on the video chat of my best friend Joe, who did not hear me until I shut the door. I played it off like nothing, and the rest of the deployment had moments just like this, where I would see or hear them talking and just take notes for my revenge. Before things really got to me mentally, our time in the sandbox was coming to an end and we flew home. The homecoming was uneventful other than my 2-year-old not realizing who I was for a few minutes, and then it was happiness all around. Just like before deploying, we have a mountain of classes after we get back to scan for TBI, traumatic brain injuries, mental health awareness certifications, etc. And nobody was exempt from completing the various death by PowerPoint classes that were scheduled for that week. Out of nowhere, Joe had random appointments almost every day, or something would come up where he would have to leave while everyone was stuck all day long at a class or at medical getting screened for everything under the sun. Do you ever have the feeling that your gut is telling you 100% that something is going on, but your brain is like, no, stop being paranoid? Well, that is what I was dealing with on a daily basis. I began to follow Joe a few days a week when he would leave work early or have to make a call, and sure enough, his car would be right outside my house every single time. When I finally confronted Joe, he denied it up and down like I was going crazy and genuinely made me feel like I was offending him by the accusations. I quietly compiled the evidence and brought it all to the battalion sergeant major, who, if you don't know, is the top of the food chain under the battalion commander. After a week or so, I get called into the battalion commander's office to discuss his findings and to ask me what I want to happen. My answer is simple: I want his rank. Justice came swift and painful. Joe was awarded loss of rank, forfeiture of half month's pay for 2 months, restriction and extra duties. Shortly after we came back to the States, Joe was promoted to sergeant, and in less than a month his rank was gone. I heard from mutual friends that he left his wife to be with his new girlfriend, who is also pregnant with his 3rd son. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I was trying to stay with my wife for my son, but I found that that was a huge mistake. A few months after the dust settled, I was transferred back to San Diego to go on a cruise, and my wife and I were giving this our last shot. I went underway for 2 weeks, and guess where she flies to? His house, to have their last bit of time together. After I found all of this out, I just lost any interest in being nice and making it work. I deployed on the ship and actually met my new wife there. We have been together ever since, and I've been much happier than when I was being mentally tortured by my ex. Moral of the story: don't screw your best friend's wife. And yeah guys, I gotta say, this story is just super sad, because usually people in the military, at least I feel like, are pretty much like brothers. And obviously, you would not really do something like this to your brother. The next one is titled Crash Revenge. I, 24 male, work construction and run a few crews, and I'm a foreman because I've been working in this field since I started working summers when I was 14, which is legal in my state, and with this being said, I have a lot of experience and get paid really well. For my job, I need a truck that can pull a lot of trailers and also get into a lot of sketchy job sites, especially in the winter, so I drive a newly lifted pickup, which is an F350. Anyways, let's get into it. So, about 4 months ago now, I got off work one day and just really did not feel like making dinner, so I decided to go get myself the trusty Big Mac at McDonald's. Well, after I got my order, I was going to pull out into the parking lot to drive home. And I was looking hard over to my left to see how busy the road was before I got over there, and well, I was not paying great attention to what was happening in front of me, and as I was creeping forward, someone who was in front of me was stopped and not paying attention either. I ended up barely hitting his mirror and scraping his door with my front end. I immediately reversed and hopped out, and I made sure the guy was okay and apologized knowing it was my fault, and I asked him if he wanted to call the cops. Let's call him Brent. Brent says, "Nah bro, we're all good. If you just get me your insurance info, I think we can get this taken care of." I was fine with that as there was no damage done to my truck and it is not required to call the cops for an accident if it occurs in a private parking lot, which is relevant later. So we exchange info and he seems pretty cool, so I tell him to go get the damage bit and I'll just pay in cash so my insurance rates don't go up as long as he is okay with it. He says that's fine and we both just leave and I feel like a moron, but all in all Brent seems like a cool dude and I just hope we can get it sorted out smoothly. About a month passes by and I have not heard anything from Brent or the shop I told him to go to. Honestly, I was not too stressed about this because if he decided to not get it done, that's on him. Well, he calls me up one day at about noon saying he cannot remember my name and he wanted to tell the guys at the shop who sent him there because it seemed like we knew each other. I told him my name and the guys at the shop gave him a deal. Pretty sure they say this to everyone. He sends me the bid for damages and it comes out to $2,400. This was more than I imagined, but I said to get it done and I'd take care of the bill afterwards, and that was that. He hung up, said it was cool, and I went on with my day as usual. Another month goes by and I don't hear anything until Brent calls me up while I'm at work again and says, "Hey brother, I talked to the shop and they said they cannot get me in for another 2 weeks or so. And they may end up charging me more if they find more damage." I say, "Okay, sounds good. Just let me know, man. I hope it goes smooth for you. I'm sorry for the inconvenience." He seems to take it good and I'm really trying to just be a good person. He responds with, "Well, after talking to my wife, I'm okay if you just wanted to write a check for $2,500 and we can call it even." This seemed odd to me because why the hell wouldn't someone want their vehicle repairs all paid for? I said, "Okay man, let's set a time and place to meet and I'll get you paid." He liked the idea and ended the call by telling me he would let me know. Yet another month passes by and I hear nothing again. At this point I'm getting fed up and I just want the situation to stop being over my head. He hits me up at 11 PM one night and asks if we can meet in town. I found this kind of disrespectful because I was nearly asleep and had to be at work at 5 AM the next day. Either way, I said that was fine and took my $2,500 in cash and wrote up a quick contract saying this payment would be accepted as payment in full for the damages. By accepting it, it would release me from any and all liability. This was a pretty fair contract, I believe, as it was the deal we had already made over the phone, just in writing. I get to the place we suggested as a meetup spot, I give him the cash and he signs the contract without hardly even reading it, and he did not want the copy. This was a red flag to me, but I just assumed he really didn't care about it all that much, so I just sent him the photo of the contract and go back home for some beauty sleep. As you can guess by now, another effing month goes by with me just living life carefree and not a worry in the world about this stupid car accident, and well, I go to check my mail and I have a notice from this guy's lawyer that he is suing me for not paying after wrecking his car. This pissed me off, but I also knew I had plenty of text messages and a contract on my side. I immediately call Brent and he blocks my number. Luckily enough, my girlfriend works for a lawyer, so I get him updated and he says he would love to help. He lets me know I saved my ass by writing that contract, as any contract worth over $500 is to be held up in any level court in my state. I immediately get to work on my revenge. I remember on the side of this guy's car, he had a business logo and I took pictures of the damage, so I hop online and get to the Better Business Bureau to look up who owns this company, thinking that surely he could not own the business because he is such an idiot. I was wrong though. This guy owns the company and I can see that he has about 12 one-star reviews, all in dispute because of his shady business practices, telling people it will cost one thing and then charging them 4 times what he said it would. Sound familiar? Remember when he said the shop may charge more than the original $2,400? That's right, he was suing me for $10,000. 4 times what the shop told him it would cost. Unbelievable, he was trying his same sneaky bullshit on me. My lawyer takes note of this and we show up to the court ready for war. This guy is sleazy. As we get there and all set up, he says, "You're ready to give me more of daddy's money?" with a smirk. I guess just because I'm young and drive a nice truck and could afford $2,500. His lawyer gets up and starts trying to say BS from me hitting and running, and Brand barely got a picture of my license plate, and that I tried bullying him into taking a deal for only $2,500 when the damage was clearly more than that. There were obvious holes in this story and he really didn't have much to say. Just imagine the smile on my face as my lawyer lays out the printouts of our text messages and the physical copy of the contract which was signed by Brand. His lawyer was ghostly white and looked sick. After laying out all of the evidence, my lawyer pulled out a little hidden gem. The printouts of all the complaints we found on the BBB and how he was doing the same thing to me. That was the final nail in the coffin, as the judge said he had seen enough. He asked Brent for any final statements and Brent said, "I don't even have the $2,500 anymore. Can I just get that then and we'll be okay?" Literally admitting to the judge that he had received my money and his story was just a load of horse BS. I thought his lawyer was gonna strangle him. It was beautiful. The judge ended up ruling in my favor and demanded him to pay my legal fees as well as damages and lost wages because I had to miss work to be in court. The absolute sweetest part was that this particular day my crew was on a very high-wage job and I was technically the one getting paid before I paid them out as subcontractors. This means I was to be paid $475 per hour and this whole ordeal took about 5 hours. He ended up having to pay me almost $5,000. I don't think I have ever been so happy in my life. And the next one goes like this. Entitled mother trespassing to my house. Well, my neighborhood is full of entitled parents that will go nuts because of stupid stuff. Someone threatened to go to court because of a pink door, and this gives me a lot of material for stories I hadn't posted. Cast as me, and my dad as MD. Entitled mother as EM, entitled kid as EK, and well, let's get to the story. I have a big back garden that is flat and that will bring the neighborhood kids to my house before we moved in, and after that we have had to explain to a lot of Karens why their precious angels cannot play in our yard. And since we also started growing some vegetables and fruits, strawberries, some of the kids will come to steal them. So now let's actually start with this. I woke up late. My parents had taken my sister to a Girl Scout activity and I start hearing noises coming from our deck. When I moved the curtain, expecting to see a bird or a squirrel, I see a white woman and her son. Me? Who are you and what are you doing here? EM, that is not for you to know. You are probably just a squatter living here, so F off and leave us alone. EK, yeah, F off. Me, who do you think you are, Karen? I live here with my parents and you are trespassing, and if you don't leave, I am calling the cops. I see my dad's car and hear the garage door opening. EM hears it too, but makes a run for it, but she trips with the water hose. I notice she is carrying a basket with strawberries, tomatoes and some of the herbs we have. Me, you dirty thieves, get the hell out of here. My dad opens the door and sees the woman and asks me in Spanish. My dad, who is that? Me, she's a thief. I found she is here with her son picking up our crops. MD, you have 5 effing seconds to go before I call the cops. EM gets up, grabs EK by the arm and flees. My dad takes a picture and sends it to the HOA. Some days later we found out she was a member of the HOA and she lost her position. Well guys, who would have thought? Steal some strawberries and other crops and lose your HOA board position. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again tomorrow. And please don't forget to hit the subscribe button.